might have to give up on the old pomade. But there's a reason. Perfect! Check it out, guys. So I have got about 3 weeks left until State of the Union in Carolina, South Carolina, which is 25K free entry race. And then the week after that, immediately after that, is LS Fest in Kentucky, which leads us to might have to give up on the pomade. And I'll tell you guys why. The issue that I have is that I have obligations not only to myself but to others to be at both of those races. Now, I can go without a car. That is a possibility. I actually spent some time today drawing up a whole pros cons board of all the different options. We've got no car, pomade, or possibly Nova, right? So the thing is, the Nova is still really together. It would only take another engine and a little bit of time. I'd probably remake the cold side, add the air to water, a couple little things here and there to make the Nova run again. I need to be at those 2 races. The question is, am I bringing a car or not? I would prefer to do it with a car, because if we don't bring one, we're kind of just half-assing it. So the game plan right now is I'm going to take this pros cons board and throw it out of the way. We're going to figure out, can the pomade be at these races, or at least some semblance of the pomade, you know, maybe 90% complete, something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the next week thrashing, because I know that if I spend the next week thrashing, if it looks like it's doable, we'll continue forward. If not, I know it's not going to take us but, you know, maybe a week to throw the Nova together. So it's time to get to work on this thing. I need to get a lot of stuff knocked out. I've got a list this long. Today I'm going to start on the back. I'm going to try to mount the fuel cell, mount the air to water. I don't have a battery mount, but I'll try to start figuring something out for that as well. And just start checking things one after another off the list, turn around in a week, and see how far we get. I'd really like to make the 25K race because it's free entry, $25,000, State of the Union, South Carolina. Clifton's paying out like $15,000 to first place, second and third and fourth or something gets $2,500. After that, I think they go down to like $500, $250, whatever, but it's gonna be a great time. We've gotta be there regardless, and I'd really like to be there with the car. So that's enough talking. It's time for me to get back to work. So fortunately for us, they've got some crossbars over here. They're gonna help us out with building the mount for the tank. We're gonna do 2 tank straps, nice and easy. The issue that we have is that with this 1.25 bar, we can't run completely across because that's where the fuel comes out. So I'm gonna cut these down to about 8 inches, and then we're gonna mount some tabs on here. If I feel like I need to, then we'll go ahead and put an upright support, but I don't know that we're gonna need to yet. We'll see how it comes out. Alright, so to make this fuel cell mount here, I spent a ridiculous amount of time building up here so that way we could get this thing kind of level. So I built this up, put tabs off of here, tabs off the bars that were there. This is pretty thick. I think it's like 1/4 inch aluminum, and that's the base that it's going to sit on. And then I've got some thinner steel just because this is what available at Ace Hardware. They didn't have thinner aluminum, or they didn't have what we needed. So we got what we could to make it work. And then I'll bend 2 tank straps, we'll drill the holes through them, suck it down, and our fuel cell mounted. Well, let me tell you guys something. That right there She ain't going nowhere. Got the fuel cell wrapped up. Look, in the theme of this project, everything I'm like, oh, I'll do a fuel cell mount. Take like an hour, 3 hours later. But looks pretty good, functions well, super strong, everything we need. So we're good to go there. Next up, I'm gonna stay working in the trunk because we're already here. I gotta put the air to water intercooler ice tank. Problem that I have, so if you guys will notice, the tabs are on the side here, right? And that comes out the front, wire in the back. The problem with the tabs on the side is I don't have anything to build over here. I would have to build out an entire square to mount that. Now, if I stick it this way, I can do similar to what I did with the fuel cell in terms of off of here, off of there, bada boom, bada bing, Bob's your sister, Mary's your uncle, and that whole thing is done, right? I don't know. We might try it this way. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on this little stool, and actually it'll be in a perfect position where if I put it on the stool, I can fish it up, and then it'll be right about exactly where it needs to be. So let me try that and see what we can do. All right, first things first, if somebody can come here and find this damn grasshopper who's been chirping in my garage for the last 7 hours, there's a cash reward. It is $1.59 and it's enough to buy a Snickers bar at the local Dollar Tree. But look, I think we're at a point where I'm gonna end up having to call tonight. Let me show you guys what's going on here. So fuel cell, right now it's not bolted down. I got some bolts in there just holding it. But I've got some kind of a configuration here. I built some more bars off of the side of these bars, boom, boom, and they're at 2 different heights. What I do wanna do is, if you notice, these things just have tabs, like just these little tabs, right? So I want to get a piece of aluminum angle and come across the front of that, boom, so that way I can weld those together. I'll weld them together to the piece of angle, and it'll just kind of give me a little bit more strength and support in that, because there's going to be at least, I think, 5 gallons of water in that thing. And it's cool when you've got it on a floor and a flat surface, because it's not just those tabs supporting the weight. Right now it's just those tabs supporting the weight, so I'd like to do the angle across the front, and then we're going to do it across the back the other direction, so it'll be this kind of weird thing that fits into place and then bolts in. I think I've got it figured out. I don't know, it's taken a lot of time, but it's all of these little things that you got to remember, like, hey, where am I going to put the hose lines? How are they going to come out? How are they going to get routed? How are they going to end up at the intercooler? Same thing with the fuel system. You know, we're putting the fuel system here. Where are we going to put the fuel pump, the fuel filters? Fuel filters and fuel pump take up all kinds of space. Plus, we want to do a secondary pump off of here too. There's just been a lot of back and forth, and it takes a lot of hours, maybe partially because, you know, I'm an amateur, probably has something to do with it, but also just trying to have the forethought of what are the next 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. Where's the tin going? Right now, I think this one is just about at the back of the wheel tub. So, you know, all of these things, and then looking at pictures, I take a whole bunch of pictures throughout the process, but it's nice so that way I can go back and reference stuff. Like I knew where I could reference where the tin would be based off of different things in there. The fuel cell, we might still be a little jacked up with the tin there, but, you know, there's going to have to be some stuff that's got to kind of move left and right and get changed up along the way for the good of making this happen. The only thing I don't like about this setup, we're going to have a battery over here. I might try to do some fuel system stuff over here and then shoot the fuel feed up this section here and fuel return. The problem that I have is that we didn't leave ourselves any room for a potential weight bar or adding any weight. Now, based on the math that I've done, subtracting the aluminum motor, adding this weight back here, we're getting a lot more. Actually, it put us 52% on the rear based on the last time we weighed it, subtracting 75 pounds up front for the motor, which it should be 100, and adding the 150 pounds back here. So I think we're getting there. It's just, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much space. So as much as I would have loved to have kept some sections open for possible weight bar, you know, we may have to do something down here. We'll get a parachute, run a parachute through here, and maybe between, you know, I'll have to think about that. Hey, when you mount the parachute, make sure you leave enough space up here so we could do, you know, a 2x3 filled with lead that bolts into where the bumpers used to bolt in. We'll figure it out. For now, I'm gonna have to call it a night because I don't have the angle iron on me, so I gotta go get that. I do have some at home, but I might need a little bit larger. So we're gonna get that and get back to this in the morning. after some thought process and getting it figured out, we've got 2 bars that go across at staggering heights, and the way that I've designed this is, as you can see, that 2 pieces of angle iron go 2 different ways. So essentially it's going to come in, sit on top of the bar here, and go under the bar. 2 bolts go in, boom, boom, and now we've got a solid mounted ice box, which is also kind of serviceable. You pull 2 bolts out, you bump, 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 get it all out. Dude, I don't know. Because then I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm trying to service the ice tank, because the tin work is going to be in the way anyway. I'm going to have to cut out the tin work. We did a halfway decent job. Let's go ahead and get this thing in place so we can set its final resting place, and I can finally be done. Well, I would say I'll be done with the trunk, but I still got to do a battery. Up and in. Look at that. Bolts. 1 bolt goes here. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing, but some of this stuff's coming out pretty nice and tight fit and all that. Alright, so we got that. Now you can see we have got a nice functional trunk. Yes, I know that it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to put water in this. We might have to use a funnel, ice, whatever. But we're nice and clear on the lines. We got plenty of space for the lines. Drain, I can run a tube out to anywhere I want. This thing comes off. This looks pretty decent. I gotta do the battery box, then we'll have to blow all this apart again for the 50 millionth time, so I can paint all of it. There's no point trying to lay paint down or clean up anything or do any of that kind of stuff. You know, some simple little stuff here. Ooh, I can cross that off the list now, right? That's complete enough. I mean, there really isn't much that needs to be done other than paint this stuff anyway, so. Another one off the list! Alright, so we took a quick break because I got frustrated with the internet. I swear, everybody on the internet just like, I'm ready to strangle people and throw my phone across the wall. So everything I do, there's like, oh, we're going to do this or this or this or this. We're working within the constraints of what we got in a space that has already been tinned, blah, 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 blah. Long story short is I realized there's a significant, vast difference between I would have done it this way and I'm actually doing it. And I'll let you guys think about that for a second. Talked about funnel for the ice box. I started designing one and I was like, oh, I can probably do this at night when I'm at home. Let me work on the car while we're here. So we've got good news. We got our front end mounting kit in, a bunch of tubes and a bunch of plates and some pieces and blah, blah, blah. So that's got to go on. Now we can mount the front end and then mount the doors and then try to line it up. I spent some time the other night trying to line up this door. Now when I did the doors on the white car, I did it in a certain order and it worked. The door gaps were decent, it stuck in, everything was good. These doors have already had latches and stuff put in them. I spent some time the other night trying to adjust and move and make it fit the best that it possibly can. It's still off a bit. We'll see if through this process we can go ahead and make it any better. These are our new SHITBOX SUPPLY GM fiberglass door mount plates. So what's going to happen here is when you have this piece here, right? We talked about it. We're going to weld this to it. Now these I've already centered up, so they are in the center of all of their travel, and we can still adjust the door over time, or if there's any, if there's any fitment issues, or maybe somehow we don't just drill it exactly correct, whatever the case may be. When you do fiberglass doors, you want to pleat the inside. So everything in the fiberglass door, at least from my research and what I ended up doing on the white car when I did them, you want to use a plate system, right? Because if you just put 4 bolts through this and through fiberglass, that's an extreme amount of load on that 4 bolt in that area, and fiberglass ain't going to handle it. So I put these together, drilled the hole straight through, but this is going to spread the load of these bolts across the face of the door. Shout out to McGamus. I watch his videos. He shares a lot of good information about pro mods and stuff, but you guys, if you guys look at it and watch it, you can apply it to stuff you do. So it's really dope. So I'm gonna get this door up here. We're gonna see if we can kind of get it set in place. I know I gotta cut some of this rubber away, and we're gonna try to get these doors mounted. So then this way, if we get the doors mounted and the door line is straight, we can mount the front end because it's got a straight body line that goes right down it. See, the problem is these gaps, right? Everything that you do to one side of it affects another side. So like right now, this is sunk in real bad, right here. So we can try to rotate it. When we do that, it sticks the front of the door out real bad. Alright, so we've moved it around a bit, and I'm kind of got a place I'm happy with. The bottom gap is quite big. That's not that bad. Maybe it just looks really bad because the primer and red, you can see it. No, the thing you gotta remember about fiberglass doors too is depending on who made them, how long ago, they're not gonna be perfect. I'm not a body guy and I'm not gonna strive for perfection, but I want it to look halfway decent, which I think we're at a point where it does now. So now that we've got that figured out, we will kind of mark everything. I'll probably put some tape or something so that way we can mark where everything's at, and then we can mount the front here. Let's get some drill bits going. Let's get some stuff marking, some cleat goes in there to hold it, and we'll start getting this thing sorted out. So now I've got one hole drilled, and I went a little diameter smaller. Another pro tip, this one comes from Tim McCamus as well. Get a plumb bob. That plumb bob on there, you want these two holes to be in line with each other. I had to use my brain cells. All three of my brain cells had to interact with each other at the same time in order to come up with this prolific thought. There we go. That's center of the hole, center of the hole. Alright. Now, we have them nice and perfectly parallel. I can drill another hole, bump the bump the bump, start drilling holes out, put the plate in. I will check back in with you guys once I have this screwed together. Alright, so we had to do some spacing, which actually that channel that I used to plate the backside, the piece that I cut off, that and a couple washers back there got us where we needed to be. We're gonna work on getting these cut now, right? I'm worried about depth, right? Because I gotta kind of nail that. But as far as up, down, forward, and back, I'm not too terribly worried. I mean, I'm still gonna try to line it up because it'll just make everything easier. We have these plates here, which will do the forward, back, up, and down. So that's really what the benefit of having this is. You know, number one, if you're like me, you maybe don't nail it on the first try. My turbo kit. You know, you have some room for error. But then also, like I said, over time, these things are like 4 foot long. These doors are so long. So over time, if they sag, if they do anything, you've got adjustment to make. The problem now is I need to cut these down, and they're going to be at kind of a weird angle here. So last time I think I just kind of eyeballed it and went for it, and it worked out. I don't know. Should I free ball it? Well, first of all, let's see, just wait. Damn it, man! Can't sneeze wrong around these things. Just keep doing this crap. Build a race car. Build every part of it yourself. Be built, not bought, bro. If I had money, I'd have bought this shit and we'd be racing right now. And I wouldn't be cursing this damn thing. It's a race. It's only gotta look good from like 10, 15 feet away. I just hate when there's things like when you get like real nice pictures, you know, like you take a real nice picture of the car and you're like, oh, I can see that it's a slap-ass, half-ass looking thing. But it's like the Nova, it's supposed to be a rusty piece of junk. That's the whole point. I like rusty piece of junk cars strictly for that reason. These fools were lying. I guess I have to cut one of these. Because you're supposed to do the long one on the bottom, but they're all the same length. So I'll have to cut one. The reason you do the long one on the bottom is so that way you can get the bottom on and you're not trying to line up both at the same time. You get the bottom on, then you kind of tilt it into place, top on, boom. We're going to go right here, alright? And you go right here. And you're like, oh, that's where it should be. And you just go for power, like that, and then we're here. 4-foot long door. Slam that thing shut. So now what I'm going to do is take the door off that way so I can run this all the way back. I will sign autographs later, but for now, just know your boy fixed it. Alright, so I forgot that when you cut these pins, they can mushroom, and this still needs a little bit of adjusting. There we go. See? Line the pins up. Bam. One kind of down, still needs some adjustment. I still gotta get it right, get it tight, but one side done, and then once I get the other side done, then I can start figuring out the front end. Hopefully, it all fits together halfway decently. Better than it's been fitting together so far. Good enough for a race car though. The pot, see, all you're gonna see, all you ever gonna, I should spend a lot of time on the back bumper, because that's all, you know what I mean, you're just gonna get a nice eye full of, view full of that right there. So I don't even know why I'm worried about doors. Ain't nobody blowing them doors off but me. Don't forget, drill a hole through those upright pins and pin the doors. That's what keeps them from flying off. Well, helps keep them from flying off. They might still fly off, but let's go back up front. Matter of fact, while we're on this conversation, I tell you guys all these little things, right? So you gotta drill a hole through these pins, drill a hole, and then you just put a pin through there. You see this gap in here where all this air can come in? All this air is going to want to come in this gap and suck your door off. So get like some foam or something, you know what I mean, just some sticky foam. Close that up, help seal that up, help keep your doors on your car. Except for when you want to take them off. And then you can go like that. You take them off. And then you can take this. That's part of the problem. Part of the problem is the door is 4 foot long, so when you're trying to line up a straight up and down line, you're like, nah. Alright, last night I couldn't get this door done, mostly because I couldn't get it off. So we had stuck the door on, the latch was there, there's no handle anywhere. We couldn't undo the handle. And it required me crawling in the car, Brandon on the outside, pulling, jiggling, working, kabow, it came off. We're gonna do the same thing that they did on the other side, factory door handle, because it's cheap, effective, it works. One little change up we might do is that shit in the air, bro.
Gee, I mean, you can see it coming out of the door right there, like.
Just trying to kill me. They didn't brace the backside of that door handle, so when you grab it, like the whole fiberglass is flexing. So we'll probably fix that. We'll do it on this side. I'll figure out how I want to do it on this side first, and then we'll go over on that side and fix it. We've trimmed the door up, right? Got this kind of to where I want it. It's working as it's supposed to. I might trim that out a little bit further. But you notice, see, if we did it just like this, right? And you hold on the door handle, all of that load is right there. So what we ended up doing, I just took a piece of angle iron, aluminum, right? And we're going to shove that through on the inside, and that's going to help spread this load at the cost of, I mean, this weighs next to nothing. I think the white car, when I fully finished out the fiberglass doors, they were about 20 pounds a piece, which when you consider that what we started with, because don't forget, I've been saying 4 foot, this thing's actually 5 foot long. It's almost as long as I am tall. And I'm 5'9" and a half, 69 and a half inches on the dot front factory today. I think they're easily 80, 100 plus pounds, whatever the doors are. Down to 20 is still a huge weight savings, but because they're so long like this and they got such long, flat, straight, you know, flat areas, you gotta brace it up a little bit. So let me trim this out a little bit more, and then we'll put her together. Find out. We effed around. Now it's time to find out. There we go. Good. But this one's gonna fit a hell of a lot better than the other one did. As far as gaps and all that. A little bit on that edge.
You know, being plastic bins, they're extremely heavy.
It's filled with bolts.
Do you mean little sugar?
What? What?
He said add some sugar. I was just following the request.
Sport him out. Sport him out.
Because you said sugar.
Why? Why has my life become this place? So that's it? And you brought a bag of sugar? You
Yeah.
brought like no crackers, no gummies, no...
You said sugar. You were very specific. You said and some sugar. Thought maybe you had tea or something. I forgot.
Did we brewing tea in the shop?
No, I thought maybe you bought
You've been relaxing,
You know what?
brewing tea.
Whatever, man.
Goodness. Hey, look at that.
I want you to know that I was
Already.
already on the road to the shop. I picked my phone up and it said and sugar, so I even turned around back to the house
To get a bag of sugar. I love you. Damn.
I love you too. Alright.
Oh, we got 6,000 volts to go through, so that's nice. What is this?
Somebody's mixtape.
It's the mixtape. Spitting hot fire. They're about to spit hot fire. I got a good deal on all of these bolts and nuts and washers, and they're all grade 8. So we can finish out this car with all grade 8 hardware. So we're kind of test fitting the front end just to get an idea of how some things are going to go. And we happen to have this 2 foot long piece of 5-inch, which is what we're going to use for the exhaust. And it looks like the exhaust is going to come out right about here, which is right where we wanted it to. I am a little disappointed because I thought I had everything I need. I ordered the whole front end mounting kit, so we've got all that we could do off of here. We're gonna have to cut these bars back, and actually we're gonna cut them back quite a bit because, so the way that this works is this piece is gonna get welded onto there, onto the end, right? And then this piece is gonna get bolted to it, and we'll have an aluminum tube. I bought an aluminum front end mount kit so we could save some weight up there. Aluminum tube is gonna slide into this. Right, so when we take it off, we just go, boom, slide it in. She's good to go, she's locked in there. This will make a nice removable front end piece. I do have some 1-inch that I was gonna use the 1-inch to maybe come off of this bar, come out, Zeus fastener here. We'll do some kind of Zeus fasteners up there. The problem is I have Zeus fasteners, but not the ones that I think that I need to do this. That's gonna hang us up a little bit. But this front end is pretty close to where it's going to be. It may come forward slightly just because I'm not sure how much gap we need there and everything for the doors to open. And when you look at it and in perspective, it doesn't look like we could, like it doesn't look that bad that we couldn't get a hood on here. Here's our aluminum pipe. That's the main pipe that we got. How high are we there? Oh, never mind. We ain't getting a hood on that. That's higher than your boy flagging a race in Michigan. 8.5 inches.
So let us get one of those 6-inch cowl hoods and then cut the top of that thing
Cut
out.
the top of that out. Yeah. So at this point, it doesn't matter. Flat hood, cowl hood, whatever the cheapest hood that I could find is what's going to end up going on here because it's getting cut up. I don't think anybody makes an 8.5-inch cowl that is 8.5 inches right there where we would need it to be. Oh well, we tried. We tried and we failed. Lesson learned, never try. I really don't want to start tackling this front end stuff until I have the pieces I need for that. I kind of like to do it all at once. I don't know, I've never mounted a front end like this, so I don't know how anything I do up here is going to affect back here. I'd like to just have everything. Maybe we'll hold off on the front end for the moment. I gotta watch some videos or something. Tim McGamus, save me! Send me a fabricator in a box. I need one now. This is kind of more like a body, man. But still, I need something in a box, and I need it ASAP. Tell these people about anti-roll bars. So what happens is, you know when you're picking up that girl that you wouldn't tell your friends about because she kind of a little on the larger side, a little larger than charge, and she gets in and the whole rear of the car just kind of, it leans. It does the lean with it, rock with it, lean with it, rock with it. No, man. Is anybody that watches my videos my age? I really hope so. So anyways, I gotta do the anti-roll bar. I've been putting it off forever because I could not visualize and figure out how I wanted to do it. This project overall takes a crap ton of time. The doors went super quick. Why? I've mounted doors before. I've mounted doors on a Camaro before. I knew just about everything I had to do to make it happen. I've never mounted an anti-roll bar to a tube chassis car, 3/4 chassis car, and I just had to figure it out. So we stuck a tub in because I wasn't quite sure where the wheel tubs were. But what we're gonna end up doing, sticking this bad boy underneath. It's gonna be behind the rear, forward facing, so it's gonna face this way. I'm gonna mount these off the 2 main bars. We're gonna attempt to do this with some science behind this, some measurements. The problem is that I got this anti-roll bar kit, and the mounting plates are just these 3/8 thick steel plates. So what I'm thinking about doing, cutting them all in half. I'll half moon to that bar so we could weld straight to the bar, right? And then I will sandwich that piece in between like that. 2 bolts through. Now that we got a whole bunch of grade 8 bolts that I'm just dying to use. Boom, through. That'll be to the frame, so it could be, it really doesn't matter what angle it's at. What matters is the distance to the rear. And I think if I do this correctly, we will be just shy of where the coil spring goes, the rear coil spring, as far as the bar. Out wide, we're gonna stick it out wide. We're gonna use this whole length. I mean, this is some thick wall, heavy duty stuff here, mild steel. We need a good anti-roll bar with the floor length. We got the wishbone up front, anti-roll bar behind, and now, I don't pick up them kind of girls, but if somebody else borrows the car and picks up that kind of girl, we just kind of, you know, give it a couple quarter turns in the right rear and she's gonna be riding right. I've just been putting this off because I really don't feel like the amount of time it's gonna take to cut these and grind into them. I need a plasma table. It would take me 10 minutes, not even, to draw this up and it would be cut. It's not worth doing that, going over my buddies, getting him. By the time we do all that and driving back and forth, I could have had this done already, I think. Maybe with it. Yeah. Perfect! Hi there. I bet you're wondering what I'm doing in the trunk. I'm working on a 3/4 chassis car, so you gotta make space. Alright, so check it out, guys. We've got the anti-roll bar coming together, finished up these mounts, and now we're trying to get it lined up to where I want this arm here to be flat and straight, and actually, as you can see, because of the way we're going to mount this, it needs to come back a little bit. These end lengths we can shorten up at any time, so that's no big deal. I can get everything mounted with them long, but I want to drop this back a little bit further. It's just going to look different than other setups. Usually they face the other direction, but it's not going to stop it from working. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and drop this thing back out. It's a pain in the butt because I got to use my stool and my jack and everything to hold it up into place, whatever. But I never cleaned off any of the paint so we could weld this. So what I'm going to do now is drop this out, clean off the paint, get this into a spot where I'm happy with. Then I'll get it jacked back up into place, all marked, everything. I'll take some measurements. Hey, does any of this, you know, does it all look right? Does it look even? It's weird because when you got this many tubes and this much crap going on in the back of here and stuff, like sometimes it's kind of hard on your eyes. It plays tricks. Like, is it really straight? Is it really not? But yeah, I use a measuring tape and stuff. Also, check out my super cool t-shirt. diesel Corvette Pro Mod. Yeah, we're doing Pro Mod stuff today with the Pro Mod. After I'm done with this, we'll talk about what the upcoming plans are, because I'm still back and forth. I talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the video, but I also wanted to make a note. I don't know if I've said this in the video, or if I have said it, I'll be repeating myself, but it's good information. Every single part of this, and part of the reason this has taken a while to do, every single part of this is going to be removable and serviceable. In the ends here, there's bushings that go in the end of this tube. So they're going to eventually, I'm sure, they're going to need to be serviced. They're going to be needed replaced. So dropping these 4 bolts out, bam, this thing comes out, we can service it. The fuel cell, the air to water tank, I mean, every part of this, I've taken extra time instead of just sticking some stuff in, welding it in, being done with it, to make it so that it's all removable and serviceable. So this way, in the future, this car isn't such a pain in the ass. Like, the extra time we spend now on doing these sorts of things is going to pay dividends when it's race season and we got to fix some stuff or work on some stuff, change some stuff, and all this stuff is removable. Let me get my ass out from under here, then back under here, sand this paint down, and we'll tack this thing in, take a look at it, rock and roll from there. Man, if I had a lift. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, we're not. Oh, you're filming me, of course. Old man doing old man things, crawling around. Getting too old for this shit. Remind me to not build another car. We've got 2 things. Blood and kind of an anti-roll bar. Why would you say kind of an anti-roll bar, Matt? Well, this Jax anti-roll bar kit that uses a plastic bushing is complete and utter trash. I didn't even want to curse, but after spending the last 3+ hours, now part of that was because I had to drill these holes out and we had drill bit issues, I guess, but still, messing with this damn thing, putting it all together, assembling it, just for those plastic bushings to be so damn tight that the anti-roll bar won't even move like it's supposed to. After I took those plastic bushings that wouldn't fit in the tube and sat there with a flap disc and ground them down to a point where they need to have an interference fit, they need to be snug in there, and you shouldn't just be able to pop them in and they flop around. Got that all done, and now our anti-roll bar doesn't move. So do yourself a favor. If you're looking for an anti-roll bar kit and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get this Jax anti-roll bar kit, it's got these plastic or Teflon or whatever the hell they are bushings in them, do not buy it. Nothing wrong with Jax, there's good peoples over there, everything else. This kit blows. It's absolutely horrible. It is not worth a penny. So now, as much as I would love to be attaching the anti-roll bar, the end links to the rear itself, I can't even rotate that thing. I literally had to climb up here and stand on it to get it to move down. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Part of me wants to buy a new anti-roll bar because I can tell you this thing is going to cause us headaches and trouble. If it's already causing us this much headache and trouble, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to stand here for the next, I don't know, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, however long it takes, working this bushing back and forth with a hammer until it finally works itself in enough that it frees up and can do what it's supposed to do. The problem with that is that once I do that, how much farther do we have to go until the thing starts bouncing around in there and not really doing what it's supposed to do anyway? I'm not sure that we're going to continue on with this anti-roll bar kit, which really sucks because I spent an ungodly amount of time messing with this stupid thing just to get it to work. The other thing is we don't have necessarily a very large budget to keep buying parts over again that I've already purchased once. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to do there yet. And to make matters worse, we talked earlier in the video about how we've got these events to go to and everything. And I hate to say it, but I think I've conceded to one. I think the 25K race will go and film. We'll have our booth set up, everything, which probably won't bring a car. I've been checking things off the list, don't get me wrong. We've been making leaps and bounds of progress because a lot of stuff You know, some stuff needs a couple of more things. Okay, we just got to paint this, but I want to get it all done before we paint this stuff. Doesn't make sense painting it 10 times. But the doors are hung. That's it. If we want to adjust them, we can do that, but they're hung, they're up, whatever. Fuel cell, air to water, all that's mounted. Can come in and out, is serviceable. Bam, done. But what I've been thinking about is if we right now stop and put the Nova together, we're just gonna race the Nova till the end of the year. That's what's gonna happen. We're not gonna keep building this. I'm gonna wait till January, February, whatever, probably January, when everything like slows down to a screeching halt and we don't have much going on, there isn't much in the way of traveling and everything, and then we would get back on this. Which in all honesty doesn't sound like a bad idea either. If I start doing that to the Nova, we need to start doing it really pretty quickly, like within the next day or two. So I'm trying to take a look at the list and like, you know, where did my list go? Did Mallory take my list? She was looking at it earlier. She was trying to be helpful. She's like, oh, I can do some, yeah, it's over here. She's like, I can do some stuff on this list. And she was like, oh, I can do this. And I was like, cool. You're gonna weld the stuff in? And she's like, oh no. I'm like, yeah, a lot of it is grinding, welding, that kind of stuff. So she wants to help, which would be awesome because I could use some help. But yeah, trying to find stuff to do. We got to mount the seat. We got to redo all that whole shit that's tied to the chassis. Mount the steering column is about halfway there. That is literally one that's going to take 5 minutes. I need to find another nut. I need to find the 4 bolts or just drill all the way through and put a nut and a bolt on the other side. Try to straighten it up a little bit because that's what's holding me up. I feel like I might have to cut that thing off. The steering column goes on a plate on the firewall, and I don't think that they got that one exactly right. That's what I get for buying an eBay one, you know what I mean? So I might have to cut that, figure that out. Run the steering shaft. Can't do that until I decide whether or not we're dropping down the rack. Mount the battery. I need a battery mount. That.
Jeez, man.
Like I was saying, I need to mount the battery, so I need to buy a battery mount or make one and then take it over and have it plasma cut and fold it and everything else. I need to get new rear wheel bearings, so I need to pop this stuff out, measure them, and then I can get the rest of the parts that I need for the rear. You know, we need a couple studs, we need a couple this, that, and the other. I do think I have to take those wheel brakes somewhere and have them drilled for 5/8 studs. So we can, once I get the bearings in and all that, we can kind of assemble the rear. I do have new wheel studs. We need a couple other studs, a couple other things. We do have the center section. We can clean that off, clean it out, get it together. Anti-roll bar. I was gonna off the list today, but apparently not. Build the long travel kit. We're still waiting on the coilovers to do that. Rear brakes will happen when we do the rear stuff. Brake lines, we have to run brake lines throughout the entire vehicle. Seat belt. Seat belt can't be done until the seat is in position. Drive shaft, meh. We're gonna have to get the motor and trans out of the Nova so we can get the trans disconnected. We still have to build the entire, I'm not gonna say the entire Texas speed motor because it is a short block, but we still gotta put the cam in, the oil pump on, everything, assemble the whole thing together, blah, 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 blah. So we can't really measure for the drive shaft until we've got the rear done and the trans and the motor and all that in its final place to make sure we're getting 100% right. Wiring and plumbing is not going to happen till towards the end anyway. It's going to be one of the last things to happen. Mount the front end. I need the pieces for that. Front and rear windows. I got to order the plastic. Drop / mount the rack. Boom. Dash bar. I still got to do the dash bar across there, so I got to cut that off. Get another, I still need another piece of tube for that. So I mean, the list doesn't sound like much. It's just when you think about the fact that anti-roll bar, which should have taken a couple hours, has now taken many, 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 many hours, and every single thing on the list is doing that. Man, it just kind of jams me up. So I don't know. I'm not gonna BS you guys. I'm gonna do whatever I want anyway. I just don't know what I want. But I do care about your opinion. What do you think? Should we, for a minute, until January, that kind of time frame where, you know, when there is nothing else going on, we literally can't do anything else. Right now, if we had a car together, we could be racing, we could be making hits, we could be doing something. But in January, we can't really do much. But I was also thinking what we could do is get this to a point where we have to go to LS Fest. We got a booth and stuff. I was supposed to race in it. It didn't really matter anyway because I knew I wasn't going to be competitive. It was more just for the experience. I wanted to race at LS Fest. I've never been to LS Fest. I thought it'd be cool. But we may still bring the car and just display it as the work in progress that it is. You know, we've hopefully, if we do that, I'd like to have the Texas Speed motor in because Texas Speed is going to be there. Sneak Eater is going to be there, so I'd like to have, you know, at least the injector set in place, maybe fuel filters in the trunk, that kind of stuff. SHITBOX Supply is going to be there, so we got our pie cuts, we got stuff on the front of there anyway. But there may be some things we do just to present it as, hey, this is where we're at. You know, I think, I don't know if Willwood's going to be there. I assume they probably will. You know, I know Quick Performance is going to be there. We've been buying a bunch of stuff from them. So it's, you know, I'd love to have it done, but I don't know that we're going to get it done. So, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But at some point, we're going to have to do something. I got to get the Regal right or something because I need to be able to blow off some steam. Like, there's a lot of steam, and, you know, the Cricket is getting the brunt of that right now. So we need to find a way to maneuver that off. But that's what we got going on, guys. That's going to be it for this video. I'm going to keep working, but I'm getting, like I said, to a point of frustration with this thing. And before I tell Brandon to take that camera and shove it up where the sun don't shine, I think that maybe we should close out this video and then I'll get back to how agitated I am over a plastic bushing, possibly looking at what else could I buy an anti-roll bar kit. I was going to say put a Band-Aid on that, but apparently I don't need to. I keep me and a flat disc just me and a flat disc been going at it. So that's going to be it for now, guys. I will see you later. Talk in the comments, do whatever. Yeah, you can tell me you would have done it X, Y, and Z. It doesn't matter because if it's already done, it's already done, and I'm not redoing it again. So sorry about your luck, but if you want to waste the time typing that, go for it. If you have any cool ideas for anything else, let a brother know. Thank you for the love, support, everything. Chicken, grease, bacon. I don't know. I'm hungry.